Hi there, this is Solitary Rowan from Solitary Rowan Films, and welcome to another episode of 6 Film Runs. Today, a director from nowadays, Yorgos Lanthimos, probably my favourite modern director, if you like. Again, this is a series where I try and name 6 really good films in a row. So if I haven't seen one in the middle of the 6, it doesn't count. Or one that's okay, it doesn't count. They have to be 4-star films or above, which is obviously subjective. But this is about you suggesting your own 6 film runs, if you think a director has one. So Lanthimos comes from Greece. He co-directed a film called My Best Friend, which is okay. You can kind of see some future Lanthimos things in it, but because it was co-directed with somebody, I don't really count it as a sole Lanthimos that we know now kind of film. So strangely enough, that is not going to start the 6 film run. It's the 6 films after that co-directed debut, starting with his full debut by himself, Kineta. This is a wonderful film that you perhaps need to watch a couple of times to figure out what's going on. Because the great thing about Lanthimos to me is he doesn't really explain what's going on all the time. You kind of have to pay attention and try and figure things out for yourself. Loosely, this is about 3 seemingly disparate people who come together to reenact certain things around this desolate, abandoned hotel and other areas. Again, it's perhaps a lot of his films could be seen as science fiction films that aren't science fiction films. There's just an otherworldly aspect to his films, the way people talk, the way people act. Sometimes seems a little bit off. So next is Alps, which to me is perhaps his first masterpiece. Again, not to give too much away, but this is about, again, another strange group of people that don't seem to have much connection, but they provide a service for people who have recently lost loved ones. And again, it has that odd Lanthimos humour that you're either going to like or you're probably going to be repulsed by. That's another reason why I really love Lanthimos, because a lot of the time people will either love him or hate him. But this has an elegance and again that strange tone that takes a while to actually figure out what's going on. But it's absolutely wonderful. And then we have Dogtooth, which is the first Lanthimos film that I saw. Again, this is the one that kind of broke him, if you like, in the festival circuit, and people started paying attention to him. Personally, I prefer Kineta and Alps to Dogtooth, but it's still a wonderfully odd, strange challenging film about a father who protects his family by not letting them out and teaching them perhaps not necessarily the true things of how the world works. Again, there's a wonderful sense of dread as the film goes along, and just that off-kilter bizarreness that, again, you're either going to dig or you're not. Next is his second masterpiece, in my opinion, The Lobster. One of those films that when I saw it, it absolutely blew me away. One of those films that within a couple of minutes I knew that I was going to absolutely love it. Colin Farrell, who I'm not a huge fan of, is excellent in two Lanthimos films. Rachel Weisz, this was his first English language film, but it's absolutely fantastic. Again, this is another almost science fiction film about in the future, if you're not in a couple, you have to go to this hotel in the middle of nowhere, and you have 40 days, 45 days to find a partner, and if not, you get changed into an animal of your choice, which sounds absolutely perfectly normal. Again, if you look on Amazon or anywhere, IMDb, there's 5-star reviews for this film, and there's 1-star reviews for this film, and there's not really that much in between. Most people are either going to love it or hate it, basically. But it just absolutely blew me away. And next is The Killing of a Sacred Deer. This is Lanthimos at his most Kubrick-like, which he would follow on with the next film. Again, his compositions, the use of space in this film, again, that odd tone. Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman are in this. Colin Farrell's a doctor, and this young man starts having an attachment with Colin Farrell, but then we find out why that is. And again, Lanthimos is so good at that sense of dread and unease and oddness. Again, it's really funny, but it's also quite horrible in places. And again, it does have that Marmite effect. You're either going to really like it or really dislike it. Again, people act perhaps oddly, talk perhaps oddly, but it's absolutely wonderful. And then the film that I was really worried about, The Favourite, because it got lots of Oscar nominations, and I was thinking, is this the Lanthimos we know and love? But it is. It's a costume drama with a potty mouth. It was the first one that Lanthimos didn't write, so again I was a little bit concerned. But this is absolutely wonderful. Again, this has the look of Barry Lyndon, another Kubrick-esque looking film. Everybody's wonderful in it. Olivia Colman, Emma Stone, Rachel Weisz. It's just an absolutely beautiful film and hilarious, but again, probably not for everybody, which is probably how you would sum up Lanthimos. I mean, his next film, Poor Things, I believe, starring Emma Stone, which is based on an unfilmable novel, so we'll see how that goes. But Lanthimos to me is really interesting. One of the few kind of modern directors that has a really high batting average. Again, for me, I know there's plenty of people who don't like his films, and that's, again, fair enough. We all don't see films the same. So please let me know if you think Lanthimos has a 6-film run. He only has 6 films, apart from the first one he co-directed, as I said. So maybe you won't think he has a 6-film run. But thanks very much for watching. Again, please leave comments below, and hopefully you'll join me again for more 6-film runs. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films saying cheerio.